Reading, your grandma does it, you do it, I do it, maybe you don't do it. I'm gonna assume you do, and if you don't, then this video is gonna be even more valuable to you because you're gonna save a whole bunch of fucking time. A lot of people end up wasting. There's 3 things you must do whenever you try to read a book. Whenever you try to read, there's these 3 things you have to do. And if you don't do it, it's gonna be a waste of your time, because if you don't remember what you read, it's gonna be a complete waste. I'm not gonna tell you all the things that you heard about how to remember. Make sure you take notes. That's nice, but you actually forget almost every note you take, especially when you write them like how you wrote notes at school. That is the wrong way to write notes. I'm gonna teach you the real way to write notes. And then there's make sure you apply the knowledge. Well, sometimes it's not exactly practical to apply the knowledge that you learned in the book. Say I'm reading this book, The Art of Seduction, but it's 8 p.m. on a Friday night and there's no bitches in sight. Where am I gonna magically summon bitches to go seduce? Where? Exactly. It doesn't exactly work like that. And then there's the third most common tip, reread them. Now, this isn't bad, but who the fuck has time to read the book a second time? These 3 tips are gonna save you from those fates. Tip 1, make up examples as you read. As you read, make up little things in your head, make up little stories, think about how this applies to you. Try to relate the concept you're learning to a memory from your past. And if you don't have a memory from your past, best believe it's either 1, it's there, and 2, you can make it up, bro. Think about it. Have you ever lied? Everyone's fucking lied. Do you remember your lies? Exactly. So that's a memory. That means you can literally create memories from your imagination. Whenever you read books and you hear about a concept, what do you remember? Do you remember the concept itself, or do you remember the examples? You remember the examples. So do this whenever you read. Actively, as you read, think, what's an example of this? What is an example of this? You have to constantly question yourself. When you constantly question yourself, the retention of whatever knowledge you're trying to read is going to go way up. You can do this for little books like this about life. You can do this for studying. You can do this for anything. Number 2, when you take notes, this is the real way to take notes. Don't fucking just write every little thing. Don't write every little thing out. That is useless. That is fucking useless. We've been taught that. It's the wrong way. As you know, if 99% of people are doing something, it's probably wrong. You don't want to be like everybody else, just taking little notes like that. If you're doing this for school, this is going to get you bad grades. If you're just trying to apply knowledge, you're trying to learn a book about sales, you're not going to learn much if you just write down every little thing you see. Every little thing you see, even if it's not everything, little thing you see. Just writing linearly, you will never remember. What you want to do is you want to draw pictures, specifically little cartoons. I'm not saying you gotta be a manga artist and just fucking make like the little panels. If you can, that's fucking great, but I bet you could do stick figures and draw little pictures, little symbols, because you'll remember the symbols and that'll create like a neural path. I don't know the science shit, like a neural pathway into your brain to remember what you are learning. The other way to take notes, which is also just as effective, is to use something called a mind map. A mind map is kind of looks like the regular note taking, but instead of it being linear, you kind of put them everywhere. So say you have a bullet point here, here, and here. Instead you'll put one bullet here, one bullet up here, one bullet up here. Your page is gonna look ugly as shit at first. So what you want to do is you want to write down the concept. So say like the title of it, seduce using a spiritual tone. You write that in the middle, and then up here you'll write an example of that. So an example would be, take a girl out to a park, comment on the nature in relation to how beautiful it is to her, and just say that. And then you could be like, kind of have this air of a spiritualness to yourself. Let's move on to number 3. Read louder. You have to read loud. You have to read louder shit. And I'm not talking about just reading out loud. I'm talking about literally in your head. Read fucking louder. You have that little voice in your head. You know you can control the volume that it speaks at. You can control the volume. You can make it higher. You'll retain way more because it's louder. You will remember it more than if you were just kind of quietly saying it. You literally can't hear yourself. Sometimes you're reading it, you know you're reading it, but you literally cannot hear yourself. There's another voice in the back speaking some random thought, oh, pizza rolls. And while you're trying to read a book, so what you have to do is the mind that you're reading with, your conscious mind, you have to make it louder as fuck. And then time to time, actually do read aloud. When you read aloud, don't read aloud like you're in front of the fucking class. You're not most likely alone when you're reading. So act it out. It's gonna be goofy as fuck, but you're gonna remember, because you're gonna remember, damn, I remember I was acting that out. Oh yeah, I was talking about this and I was talking about that. See, you remember. I'm gonna give you an example right now. The target becomes too used to you as the aggressor. They will give less of their own energy and the tension will slacken. You need to wake them up, turn the tables. Once they are under your spell, take a step back and they will begin to come after you. Begin with a touch of aloofness, an unexpected non-appearance, a hint that you are growing bored. Stir the pot by seeming interested in someone else. Make none of this explicit. Let them only sense and imagine that. Imagination will do the rest. Creating the doubt you desire, soon they will want to possess you physically, and restraint will go all out the windows. The goal is to have them fall into your arms of their own will. Create the illusion that the seducer is being seduced. Yeah, I did that and it was kind of goofy as fuck. I was just like reading it like that, like it's a fucking audiobook. I want to do that from time to time. Okay, now to recap 3 points. 1, what you learned was something called active active learning. Active learning is a study technique that's used to reduce study time by like fucking half, because you may be learning less in the moment, but you don't have to repeat it. You don't have to keep going back. You don't have to study multiple times. You study once and it's just in your brain. It's there. Now, yeah, shit gets in the way sometimes. Yeah, it's good to recap, but you'll retain most of it the first time. You want to retain stuff the first time. It's a waste of time to have to keep going back, forgetting stuff, learning stuff just to forget it. That's a waste of time. We ain't got all the time in the world. The harder your brain has to work in the moment, the more it's gonna grasp concepts. And if you think anything I said in this thing was goofy, like damn, I ain't gonna do that. Try it, and then if you do it and then you still think it's goofy, you're gonna remember that it's goofy, because now you got an emotion tied to it. You got embarrassment tied to it. You got, damn, I'm a goofy ass nigga tied to it. So make examples, draw pictures, read louder. Now watch this video about keeping habits for the new year.